bones. Do you know who this guy is? Do you know who this guy is? Do you know who this man is right here? Well, I'll tell you. This is Kimimaro, and he's probably the coolest villain in all of Naruto. Full stop right there. And you know what? It is nothing short of a miracle from on high that he is like the coolest character in Naruto, considering that like 80% of his backstory was anime only. It was filler, and he's still far and above cooler than most villains we got in this story. Let me tell you something about this dude, okay? Kimimaro, first of all, goes out to fight Naruto, the protagonist, the guy the series is named after, okay? He fights the titular character of this manga with tuberculosis, like late stage tuberculosis. This guy's got like 5 hours left to live, but he's like, nah, I got this. And you know what? He goes out to fight Naruto in the middle of a field, not just one Naruto, but like 100 Narutos, all coked up on nine-tailed fox chakra, like rawr, whatever, and he doesn't even break a sweat. It's not even a warm-up activity for this man. He's not even using curse mark power yet. Naruto's not even worth it, okay? Naruto's just throwing Nine-Tails chakra field clones at him, and freaking Kimimaro is just like, all right, I'm just gonna pull out a sword and just stab each one. This is really not hard at all for me. I am literally on my deathbed. I am a dead man walking right now, and this isn't even approaching giving me a sweat, okay? So then Rock Lee shows up. Honestly, if we're being straight up here, Naruto shouldn't even be the main character of this story. It should be Rock Lee. Rock Lee being the main character would make way more sense for the messages. Anywho, Rock Lee shows up right out of surgery, mind you, and then Kimimaro's reaction to Rock Lee, first reaction upon seeing this man is, this one's strong. Good. Okay, good. He's like, finally, somebody that might be able to give me a little bit of a challenge today. So Naruto runs off to go on a play date with Sasuke or something. I don't know. I don't really pay much attention to their little plot line. But anyway, Rock Lee versus Kimimaro. Okay, Kimimaro begins to actually put in effort now. He goes a little bit into his curse seal power. He doesn't even go into first stage. Rock Lee's not even worth that. But he goes into maybe I don't know, honestly, he only barely covers a little bit of his chest with the curse mark powers. So if we're being generous here, maybe 10% of his curse mark powers, and that's it, okay? And so he's using all these bone abilities. He's so cool. Bones are jutting out of all parts of his body, just shredding Lee. Now, Lee, in order to even hold a candle to Kimimaro, has to just get wicked wasted. Just 3 o'clock in the afternoon, just okay, let's go, buddy. All right? And, wasted Rock Lee versus Kimimaro. Finally, we're getting a serious fight in this story, you're thinking, okay? Unfortunately, Lee sobers up pretty quick. I mean, that alcohol just metabolizes like crazy, okay? So anyway, Lee powers down, he loses his booze power up, and then Kimimaro's like, all right, I'm just gonna finish this guy off really quick, but then boom! Gaara shows up, and it's like, yeah, all right, Gaara versus Kimimaro. You can end the arc right after this. I really don't care what's going on the waterfall with Sasuke and Naruto, blah, 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 who cares? Kimimaro versus Gaara, okay? This is awesome. All right, let's just back up for a moment and just thank you, Kishimoto. This is incredible, okay? So it's during this fight that we get the majority of Kimimaro's backstory. What is the deal with this dude, okay? Well, the deal with this dude is that he was part of a clan that lived in the Hidden Mist Village, okay? And this clan were a bunch of mass murderers, essentially. They were just a bunch of crazy people that just got their kicks off of murdering everybody that they came into eyesight with, okay? And they thought Kimimaro was the weird kid. He was like, this kid is way too crazy even for us. So they lock him in a cell. Once again, I don't know how much of this was in the manga versus on, actually in the anime. I'm rewatching part 1 right now because every couple of years I go back and rewatch part 1 of Naruto. I haven't rewatched Shippuden in years, but part 1 is worth it, okay? So just finished that fight, so that's why we're talking about this tonight. In case you're curious, why are we making a Naruto video? I have a whole Akatsuki series on this channel, so go back and check that out. Occasionally I will get that Naruto hype. Okay, so anyway, back to the Kaguya clan, all right, or the Kaguya clan. Kaguya, they say they say Kaguya in the English dub, and obviously it's a playoff of Kaguya, who is the final villain of Naruto. We'll get to her in a moment, okay? Anyway, one night, for no real apparent reason, they just decide, we're just gonna go down to the village hidden in the mist and just murder everybody, okay? As you do as a murder clan. So they're like, let's go, Kimimaro, and they let him out of the cage, and they're like, just murder everybody you see, okay? So I think in the anime, they add a scene where Kimimaro runs across Haku and Zabuza, because everybody loves Haku and Zabuza, and there's a moment where Haku looks at Kimimaro and just like, such a lonely kid. And then eventually Kimimaro runs into Orochimaru, who is just out for a midnight stroll. I don't know, nor do I want to know what Orochimaru does in his spare time. It's actually very well implied what Orochimaru does in his spare time. I don't need to know this more than anything. But he runs into him, and, you know, Orochimaru's like, hey, I'm not from this village, so you don't have to kill me. And then Kimimaro very polite, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. I'll just, move past you, okay? So they go down in the Hidden Mist Village. Everybody gets slaughtered, because go figure, a crazy band of, murderers like up against an actual organized military force. You see what happens there, okay? So Kimimaro manages to get away, but everybody that he even would have considered his family is dead at this point, all right? And so Orochimaru then shows up later, and he's like, hey, you want to, join my crew? I guess we'll go and look for a treasure or something. I don't know. Here's a cool tattoo, okay? And he gives him the curse seal and everything like that. And Kimimaro is like Orochimaru's best and brightest, and he was meant to be the vessel for Orochimaru's next body, before Sasuke was, okay? And the problem there was tuberculosis. It ruins a lot of people's lives, and in this case, it ruins Kimimaro's, and I guess Orochimaru's plans along the way. So Orochimaru is a piece of shit. We already know this. He's Orochimaru. So pretty much he loses interest in Kimimaro, like, immediately, pretty much as soon as he started coughing up blood everywhere. It's like, well, this one's a failure, so whatever. Although, a couple of things to add about this. Kimimaro was able to solo the Sound 4 in their little trial thing, and they were the Sound 5, and he pretty much made it very clear that I'm the strongest, I call the shots now. Also, remember that scene where Orochimaru killed Gaara's father that, like, nobody ever talks about? Yeah, Orochimaru murdered Gaara's father. At the time, of course, he wasn't Gaara's father, nor was he Rasa, he was just the fourth Kazekage. But little be known, yeah, Orochimaru killed him, stabbed him right through the heart with the sword thing. However, it was also stated Kimimaro helped out along with that, so it was only because of Kimimaro's assistance that Orochimaru was able to take down one of the flipping Kage, especially later on during the war. We find out Rasa's actual ability was that gold sand crap, gold dust he manipulated, so I'm not really even sure it should have been that easy to take him out. I mean, could have Orochimaru killed the fourth Kazekage? I mean, he would have definitely had a good chance at doing that. I'm not going to say it was an easy fight for either of them, but Kimimaro definitely tipped the scales there. Anyway, after the fight, Kimimaro starts puking up blood, and he's like, oh, crap, I'm sorry, guys, and then so he has to go into the medical ward or whatever. Kabuto's messing with him, trying to cure tuberculosis, which unfortunately he cannot do. A lot of random tuberculosis cases in anime. Anytime a character's like puking up blood, that's immediately what I think it is. So maybe it's other random anime disease. Whatever, who cares? Okay, so, anyway, back to the fight, though, where, so that's all happening while he's fighting Gaara. This fight is incredible. Now, I don't know whether or not it's just in the anime or it's in the original or whatever, but I think Kimimaro has a line in this fight that he repeats like 3 or 4 times to Gaara, and it's, I've underestimated you. And he says that a lot, and right before Gaara is about to fuck him up with a massive sand attack, all right? He's like, Gaara shows up, he uses his sand coffin to, like, crush Kimimaro, and then he finally goes into his first level curse release, okay? And he walks out, and he's like, I underestimated you, but that's the last time I'll get caught in your sand. Boom! As if just to say, oh, okay, buddy. Gaara busts out sand tsunami. I love that line. I love that so much. Like, that's the last time I'll be caught in your sand. Okay, sand tsunami, let's go. Bam! He gets caught in the sand, gets crushed again, has to immediately jump to second stage curse seal. Once again, to reiterate, this is a man that, like, up against Naruto, Nine-Tailed Fox, up against Rock Lee, Wicked Drunk, it doesn't matter. He is barely trying. And then as soon as Gaara rolls up, it's just like, okay, gotta go first curse seal for this guy. Oh, wow, even that's not good enough. He can literally summon giant waves of sand. Okay, I gotta go second form. And his second form is so beast. He's like a dinosaur. He gets a tail. He's able to manipulate his bones with his Kekkei Genkai, so he can pretty much make his body in whatever shape he wants. He literally rips out his fucking spine as a sword. Dude's got a spine, sword, chain thing. It looks like something from Soul Calibur. I never played Soul Calibur. I know there's that really sexy lady, like, I think I'm gonna say Ivy or something. I don't know. But anywho, he fights against Gaara now, okay? And he's in his second stage. Gaara is using all of his sand. He's trying to stop him. There's that cool scene where, you know, he uses the Shukaku shield, the ultimate defensive technique, and then Kimimaro makes the bone drill thing, and he tries to drill through it, but he can't. And then he just uses his final attack, which just summons an entire forest of bones. Turns the entire field they were fighting in into a giant forest of bones. Once again, dude is on his deathbed. In fact, that was the last thing cool he really did. And in fact, I actually have Kimimaro's last words right here, as Gaara and Rock Lee are there, sure that he's dead now after exerting that much chakra. He appears one more time to try to deliver the finishing blow, and his last words are, I'm not brainwashed. Lord Orochimaru is the only one who understands me. You know nothing. And then he dies. He's dead. Kimimaro dies right there. Doesn't even get to finish off Gaara or Rock Lee. He just dies. I'm not brainwashed. He was totally brainwashed. Lord Orochimaru is the only one who understands me. Not true. And you know nothing. Jon Snow. Which, to be fair, Gaara probably didn't know anything. Gaara had no idea who this guy was, why he was even there fighting him, other than just vague, like, hey, go help Naruto and Shikamaru's group. It's like, okay, cool, I guess we'll go do that. I guess that's the least we can do for, you know, trying to kill him and everything during the couple arcs ago where we attacked the Leaf. Okay, Sand Ninja, go help. Gaara has no idea who this guy is, though. He's like, can you manipulate bones? Who are you? What's the Kaguya clan? I don't know anything about you. I'm just gonna fight you. Okay, so that last part's true. That last part's pretty true. Rock Lee also, for that matter, didn't know much of anything. Okay. So he disappears for like 500 chapters, like a long time, where nobody even really addresses him. Once again, I think in the anime they add a couple of more things in. I think there's the scene with Jugo, because Jugo is where Orochimaru like extrapolated. Like the whole reason curse marks exist is because of Jugo. So I think they were like, okay, cool, we're gonna throw Kimimaro in there. I think Kimimaro and Jugo did in the manga have like they were friends, and Kaguya. And Kimimaro was like the one that was kind of talking to Jugo a little bit, just like, hey, it'll be okay, Jugo. It'll be all right. Well, you know, Orochimaru's here to help you, buddy. You know, let him experiment on you and extract your curse seal technique. It'll totally help you for the better, right? Absolutely, 100%. So there's some scenes there. So he doesn't show up until, let me tell you, I'm reading Naruto weekly at this point, okay? I obviously wasn't reading Naruto weekly when Kimimaro first showed up, because the manga, I don't even know if it was, I mean, Shonen Jump was, like, released in America at that point, like, in the actual magazines. You could go to the store and buy them in the stores, like Walmart and stuff, but I wasn't reading Naruto at this point. It was not until, you know, the Pain arc that I was really reading it week by week, okay? So this is years later, okay? So I'll tell you, when Kabuto activates the Edo Tensei and all of the, you know, the former Akatsuki members walk out and we're like, oh my god, and like then the former Kage walk out and we're like, oh my god, dude, when Kimimaro walked out, that was the dude I was looking for, because a lot of the Kage, we had no idea what the second Mizukage was all about at that point, and the Akatsuki we already saw, but Kimimaro is like, oh my god, we're bringing Kimimaro back? Sweet. He does nothing. At least nothing that I remember. Like, what did he do? What did he do during the war? Okay, this is my recollection of it, okay? He shows up. He's in the group with Chio and Hanzo the Salamander and some other random dude with glasses. And I think they fight, like, the advanced squad or whatever. And I think one of Naruto's shadow clones shows up and fights him, but he doesn't beat him or anything. And then I think he just cut away, and then eventually when the Edo Tensei is released, when they Itachi does the whole Izanami thing and they release it, then he just soul ascends to heaven or the pure world or whatever it's called in the Naruto verse. And that's it. That's it. So, you might be wondering, why? What's about this character? Like, who cares at this point, other than having, like, the coolest fights ever? Well, it's because, I don't know, for those of you that haven't watched or read the end of Naruto, spoilers, a sexy rabbit goddess, who's also an alien, by the way, shows up after this very convoluted multi-layer plan. By the way, hands up on who thinks that Madara should have just been the final villain of this story. Hands up if you think Madara should have just been the final villain of this story, and that would have made everything just way more simpler. Okay? None with the black Zetsu crap. None with the sexy rabbit alien goddess crap. By the way, I don't know if I'm the only one that refers to Kaguya as sexy. I think she is, but I don't know. I don't know. But that's a thing limited to me or whatever. But anyway, sexy rabbit goddess who's an alien shows up at the end. And her name is Kaguya. And it turns out that Kimimaro is actually part of her clan, because she got it on with a regular human dude, which I believe was also mostly just anime filler. But, in Naruto, you pretty much have to take... It's this weird mesh of filler and canon kind of having a love affair, because they just kind of have to, because there's just so much of it, I think if you actually make a pie chart of the Naruto anime, it would probably come down. I would not be surprised if there was more filler than canon in the Naruto anime, all things considered. I don't think there's that much, but it's pretty close to a 50-50 split, so you kind of just accept it as whatever. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so she gets it on with a human, and then they have children, and then that creates the Kaguya clan over generations and generations and generations. Kishimoto doesn't do timelines as well as Oda does, where it's like this long ago is when this happened. Here's the question: do we even know how old Naruto is in Boruto? Has it ever actually even been stated definitively how much time passed between Naruto at the end of the war to the last movie to then where we're at right now in Boruto? I think Naruto's in his mid-30s, but I don't think it's confirmed either way, so whatever. Anyway, yeah, so Kaguya's clan exists, and the Kekkei Genkai that she actually had a few, because she's rabbit goddess alien, so she had the Byakugan. So Kaguya, their clan members don't have the Byakugan, okay? So Kimimaro does not have that. But he does have the same hair, and he also does have the same Kekkei Genkai in the bone manipulation. So he can manipulate all 206 bones in his body, and he can make really cool combinations. He could shoot out bones with his fingertips, and he had these things called the 5 dances. Most of them weren't really all that interesting, but it was really cool. He had the Carmilla dance that was just him taking a sword and just using a bone sword. Bone swords are cool. The Clematis dance was the one with the spine sword whip thing, and then he had the Willow dance, which I think was just him just stabbing the Naruto clones all together. Larch dance was when he had bones coming out of his body, stabbing Lee, everything like that. And then the Bracken dance, which way lamer name in the original Japanese. It was the dance of the seedling fern. It was the Bracken dance. That was a cool thing. That's when he created the whole forest, okay? So he can do all that kind of crap. And that was a watered down version of Kaguya's alien genetic Kekkei Genkai magic thing, okay? So the original version of that was the all-destroying ash bone, which was Kaguya makes these bones that she fires, and anything they hit just immediately turns to ash. Nothing can prevent it. Even Naruto being straight up a demigod by the end of this story, this bone hits Obito, and he's like, yeah, I can't do anything about that. I was able to bring Guy back from literal death after burning out all of his chakra nodes and his heart literally turning to the smoldering, burning, wood and the end of a fire that had been burning all night on Christmas morning. But can't do anything for Obito. Sorry, man. And so Obito just dies right there, which, okay, maybe you felt sorry for him. I don't really know. I don't really know what my reaction was when Obito died. I'll be honest with you, when we started getting to the last 20 so chapters of Naruto, I really tuned out. I remember Kakashi using the Susanoo, and I'm just like, if I was 10 years old when I saw Kakashi go Susanoo, I would have lost my shit. But at the end of Naruto, I was just so done. I was just I had no passion in that story left, and I was just like, all right, great, Kakashi is the Susanoo. Can we just finish this off? Okay, hurry up now. Okay, so, here's my idea. Here's what I think, all right, happened. All right, now this is just my opinion here, but this is my idea on what happened, okay? So, I don't think Kishimoto had this whole thing planned out from the beginning. All right, if you mean to tell me that, during Part 1 Naruto, during, the Crush Konoha arc, when Orochimaru was attacking and fighting Hiruzen and everything, during that far back in Naruto, Kishimoto had this plan for, we're gonna do Part 2 and the Akatsuki, and then Naruto and Sasuke are gonna meet the Sage, and even the concept of the Sage might have not even have existed at that point. They're gonna become demigods, and then they're gonna fight alien rabbit sexy goddess from space, and then that's how this is gonna end. I don't think that was the case. I don't think that was the case. Maybe it was. Maybe it was. Maybe Kishimoto had that whole thing planned out from the beginning. Maybe he did. Maybe he had an interview at some point or in a data book where he's like, yeah, I planned this all out from day one. You know, by the time Naruto was fighting Zabuza, well, I guess Naruto, well, yeah, they kind of fought Zabuza. By the time Naruto and Sasuke were fighting Zabuza, I already knew how this story was going to end. Maybe he did. I'm just saying he probably didn't, okay? So I think as we're continuing through the story, maybe Kishimoto remembers Kimimaro's character, and he's thinking, man, Kimimaro was cool. I love that guy. Having the bone ability, that was the coolest character ever. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to rewrite this entire ending of my manga so that alien goddess from space shows up. That was, by the way, Kaguya's existence was only like mentioned like a couple of, like, I think like 100, not even 100 chapters maybe before the end of the story. I mean, it was not long that it was just like first mentioned, and then she doesn't show up until like the last 20 chapters, all right? So I think it was like kind of like a reverse thing where it was like, okay, I'm going to make this final villain be this rabbit goddess lady. And in order to do that, I was like, what's her design going to be? I have to try to figure out some way to connect her back to the rest of the story. Otherwise, this is just going to come out of left field. So Kishimoto wisely looks at the coolest character ever, Kimimaro, and he's like, oh, okay, Kimimaro was part of the Kaguya clan. What if I make Kaguya the main villain? Because it really comes out of nowhere. It really does. Because remember, Kimimaro, Kaguya herself is not mentioned at all during Kimimaro's backstory. It's not referenced. You think if Kishimoto had this planned like years and years and years in advance, you think that like during when Kimimaro was fighting Rock Lee or Gaara, at some point during that flashback, at some point Orochimaru or Kabuto or somebody would have mentioned, ah yes, Kimimaro, the descendant of the progenitor of all chakra. You know, something like that. You know, he's like, ah, yes, Kimimaro, my greatest, the strongest person, the greatest experiment I've ever had in my lab. Yes, he is the descendant of the great goddess, Kaguya. You know, something like that. But that never happens, never comes up, never even hints at her existence. So I think Kishimoto was like, damn, Kimimaro's got a cool design. He had a cool Kekkei Genkai. I'm just going to make the final villain somebody based off of him, okay? And it turns out it's Kaguya, and it's like, okay. And then also, by extension, I don't watch Boruto at all, but I know the Ōtsutsuki clan, Kaguya's clan from space, the other rabbit god people, they're the main villains of Boruto. I at least know that much. So it's kind of interesting that Kimimaro is sort of the branch for everything. He's sort of there as like he was the template for the final villain of Naruto, who then, as an extension of that, Kaguya served as the introduction to the Ōtsutsuki clan, which is featured prominently in Boruto. So I think it all started with him. I don't think this was planned originally. If it was, I guess great job foreshadowing on Kishimoto's part by not really foreshadowing Kaguya at all, but whatever, I guess kinda you did. So that's cool, right? I guess. If you like Boruto, I haven't read or watched really any of it, so I don't know. Anyway, Kimimaro's really badass, man. Badass bone guy. And he died. And then he came back and didn't do much. So that's what you get. That's all you get. Couple of things, though, about his character. I mean, this was neat. So, he obviously had some form of, like, Stockholm Syndrome, if we're thinking about it, because he was vastly devoted to Orochimaru. Like, there was some people in this story that are creepily devoted to Orochimaru. Kimimaro is the one that's, like, beats all the other records, okay? He's more devoted than the rest of the Sound 4, more devoted than Kabuto. Oh, yeah, he comes back later, technically, as part of Kabuto's, like, lower intestine. When Kabuto has the weird, I think he uses the Sakon Ukon thing, because Sakon and Ukon, like, shared a body, so he basically just replicates that, so the Sound 4, like, come out of him. So it's not even Kimimaro at that point. That's, like, Kimimaro's, like, DNA inside of Kabuto. But anyway, so, you know, a lot of people are dedicated, even Kabuto is dedicated to Orochimaru, but Kimimaro took it to the next level. It's a thing that's a little weird, because in the anime, they make it more like Kimimaro's, like, father figure was Orochimaru. Like, Kimimaro didn't really have a real strong father figure growing up, so he makes Orochimaru that person. But in the manga, it's more about, like, you know, basically, like, he's in a cult, which Orochimaru definitely ran a cult. So it's more of, like, a cult leader kind of situation. Either way, we have some form of like psychological, like Stockholm syndrome thing going on here, where throughout the entire fight, he pretty much has to be shouting to himself, no, Orochimaru cares about me. He does care about me, man. He's the only person that cared about me. I'm going to be useful to him. So remember to worry about your own self-worth, okay? Do not tie your own self-worth to somebody else. Tie it to yourself. That's what matters. So we can all learn life lessons from Kimimaro today. Also, what's interesting is at the end of the fight, after he dies, Lee and Gaara are having a conversation. They're kind of like resting after the battle's over. And they're talking about Might Guy a little bit. Like, Guy gets brought up, Might Guy. And they're talking about him a little bit. And Gaara begins to question, like, wow, okay, like, you know, you, Lee, you're like super devoted to your sensei. You know, Rock Lee is super devoted to Might Guy, who's his sensei. And Lee's like, of course I am. You know, he's put me on the right path and everything. And that gets Gaara thinking about Kimimaro. And he's just like, well, Kimimaro probably felt the same about Orochimaru that you felt about Guy. And Gaara begins to question, like, man, I wonder, you know, if somebody like that became so devoted to somebody but was duplicitous at the end of the day, somebody that didn't really care for them. And Rock Lee was like, oh, well, somebody like that, like Orochimaru, doesn't deserve to be, you know, respected or have any trust given to him. And Gaara basically said, no, I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it's just about not being lonely. So Kimimaro was just so terribly, crushingly lonely in his life, even surrendering his own will over to another human being and tying his self-worth over to Orochimaru was better than that crushing loneliness. And so that's how he was created. And then we immediately seamlessly transition between that fight, moving on to Naruto and Sasuke fighting on top of a waterfall or something. Yeah! So there you go, Gaara, dropping the philosophy on us, I guess. How cool did you think Kimimaro was? Scale 1 to 10. I'm going to give him a 10. Screw it. I'm going to give him a 10. Wish he would have done more in the story, damn it. Anyway, that was the video. Hope you enjoyed. I have a little bit of a snake fact today. Snake fact. Was I the only one that thought snakes had no bones? Because they do. They do have bones. But, like, is that common knowledge, or was that just something that I was just blanking on? Okay, are you sitting there right now like, holy crap, Tekking, I didn't know snakes had bones. I thought they were just all muscle. It's like, yeah, too, I thought they were all muscle, too. No, they got bones, and they're actually really cool to look at. Look at these snake bones. So they're pretty much just all vertebrae and ribs. They don't have a sternum or anything. Yeah, I mean, some of the bones get broken. Sometimes their teeth will break off. They just regrow their teeth. You know, not a big deal for the snakes. But that's your snake fact. They have bones, and they look really cool because they're just pretty much just nothing but ribs and a spine, I guess. Yeah, snake fact. Okay. So anyway, that was the random Naruto video I did this year. I'm not doing another one for all the Sound Ninja 4 because I really don't care. Sakon and Ukon were just weird. The spider guy was kind of cool. The big guy that fought Choji didn't care about at all because he was just literally like, I am stereotypical big muscular fat guy in anime. So I'm not making a whole video about him. Jirobo, I know their names. Jirobo and Kumo Maru. Kumo probably something because Kumo means spider in Japanese, so probably with the spider dude. Kido Maru or something. I don't know. And then Tayuya was cool. I might make a video about Tayuya. I'll make a video about Kimimaro and a video about the second coolest member of the Sound Ninja 4 or the Sound Ninja 5, and that's Tayuya. Also because I like her fight with Shikamaru, pretty much because every Shikamaru fight is cool in this story. Yeah, so maybe something about her. But anyway, other than that, no. All right, later. Signing out. Bye, everybody.